Today, we're going to look at trauma in a totally different way. It's an approach that suggests the brain's very first move isn't emotional at all. What if it's something way more primal, a gut-level survival instinct?
So why is it so overwhelming to heal from trauma? I mean, it's a question that's been bugging therapists and clients forever, right? You try to work through something tough, and bam, you're just hit with this tidal wave of emotion. It's so intense it just shuts you down.
And that feeling is exactly what this quote from Dr. Ruth Lanius is getting at. It really gets to the heart of the problem for therapists. For so long, the thinking was, don't talk about the trauma. The fear was that you'd just be opening Pandora's box, that it would totally destabilize someone and just make everything worse. So that emotional flood, it's not just a side effect of therapy. It's the actual roadblock. It's the main thing standing in the way of healing. And that's precisely why researchers started thinking there has to be another way in, right? A different path that doesn't just immediately set off that alarm.
And this is where the big shift in thinking comes in. Just think about this for a second. What if our brains have a response to a threat that happens before we even feel anything? Before the fear, before the anger? What if the very first thing the brain does is something super basic, something almost mechanical?
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a split in how our brain reacts. You've got the higher brain, the cortex, that's busy trying to figure things out, asking, okay, what am I feeling right now? But way down deep in the brainstem, the more instinctual part is asking a much, much simpler question first. It's asking, where is this happening? That's it, just where. It's a pure orienting reflex. And the little piece of hardware running this where function is called the superior colliculus. The best way to think about it is like the brain's built-in radar system. It's always on, constantly creating these maps of what's around you, locating any potential threat or anything new, all before your conscious brain even knows what's going on. So let's just let that sink in. The very first step in a traumatic sequence, it isn't fear, it isn't rage, it's the brainstem just reflexively trying to locate the source of the problem. It's all about space before it's about emotion. Okay, so that's some fascinating neuroscience, but how do you turn that into an actual therapy? Well, this insight is the foundation for a whole new approach. It's called Deep Brain Reorienting, or DBR for short. The whole idea behind DBR is that our brain has this natural trauma sequence. So, step 1, we orient. The brain asks, where? Step 2, tension. The muscles in your head and neck get ready to move. Then step 3 is shock. This is a really interesting one. It's like a pre-emotional jolt of energy. And only after all of that, only then does the affect, the big emotion like fear, finally show up. And here's the really cool part about DBR. It doesn't try to fight that sequence. It actually follows it, step by step, but really, really slowly. The idea is that by focusing on those physical sensations first, the orienting, the tension, the shock, you're basically diffusing the emotional bomb before it even has a chance to explode. So what does this actually look like in a therapy session? Let's kind of walk through an example of how it works. So the therapist might start by saying something like this. They're guiding the client to notice the very first physical thing that happens when they think about a trigger. It's not about the emotion, not yet. It's all about finding that tiny, subtle bit of muscle tension. And the client might just say something like, I feel tension around my eyes. See? It's not this big, scary emotion. It's a simple physical sensation. That's the starting point. And that little bit of tension, that becomes an anchor. It's something real and physical to hold on to. It grounds you in your body, and that stability is exactly what helps keep that huge wave of emotion from just crashing over you. Okay, so once that anchor is set, the therapist then guides them to the next step in the sequence, that pre-emotional shock. They'll ask the person to notice any of those little fleeting, energetic feelings, like a little electric buzz or a sudden cold shiver or just a sense of hollowing out. All those things that happen right before the big feelings kick in. And this is key. By taking the time to let the brain actually process that raw, energetic shock first, the emotional punch that comes after it is so much weaker. It's dramatically reduced. The feelings are still there, but they become manageable. And that's when real healing can happen, without all the overwhelm. All right, the theory is pretty incredible, right? But does it actually work? Let's take a look at the results and the kind of impact DBR is actually having. So, what does the research say? Well, in a word, impressive. An interim analysis of a randomized controlled trial found it has a really strong effect on PTSD.
And get this, very few people dropped out of the study. That's huge. It tells you that people are finding this process manageable, and they're sticking with it because it works.
And we're not just talking about a small improvement here and there. The research showed DAPR helped decrease symptoms across all 4 major clusters of PTSD. We're talking reliving the event, avoidance, changes in mood, hyperarousal, all of it. That points to a really deep, comprehensive kind of healing.
But, beyond all the data and the symptom clusters, this is what it really comes down to. This quote from someone who went through DBRA says it all. For the first time, I feel alive. Wow. I mean, that's not just about getting rid of bad feelings, is it? That's about getting your life back. It's about feeling vital and present in your own body again.
So it all circles back to this one simple but really profound idea. We're shifting our focus away from the overwhelming what of the emotion, and instead we're looking at the fundamental where of the brain's very first response. And it leaves us with this incredible question to think about. What if healing doesn't start with what we feel, but with where that feeling even begins?